The agriculture sector contributes around 25% to Kenya's gross domestic product, with horticulture providing 36% of the agricultural GDP.
Horticulture exports from Kenya to Europe are highly competitive, and what's more, they're quite unique in that the vast, or perhaps more than 50% of all the vegetables exported from Kenya into Europe are provided by very small-scale farmers.
For the 5 years specifically, the US government is investing $225 million into the agricultural sector.
The horticulture industry employs over 6.5 million people, generates foreign exchange worth 90 billion Kenyan shillings annually, and produces 220,000 metric tons of fruits and vegetables. In view of this, horticulture is considered strategic in achieving Kenya's Vision 2030 as a middle-income economy.
As a national government, we are in charge of coordinating and developing policies for the development of the industry.
AFA is Agricultural Food Authority. We are regulating the horticultural industry.
We aim to protect human health and environment from undesirable parts of chemicals. Part of the concerns of the safety towards the humans, the possible safety concerns arising from the use of chemicals that remains on the produce after the proper use of the products in terms of residues.
Traceability of produce is a major requirement for international trade in fresh horticulture produce, such as fruits and vegetables. In the recent past, the industry has faced challenges in complying with the EU and international food safety requirements. This include lack of national traceability system for horticulture produce, HTS, frequent interceptions of exports due to excessive pesticides maximum residue levels, and presence of regulated pests in export consignments.
Now, one of the projects that we are undertaking is the traceability system. And this traceability system is just about ensuring that the fruits and vegetables that we buy in the markets here in Nairobi or out in other countries in Europe, you are able to trace back to where that product has been produced. This has got several advantages. One of them being the fact that producers will now ensure that they are doing the right thing. They are using the right pesticides in the right volumes so that when the product gets to the market, it's not intercepted.
When the EU 669 was first announced in 2008, very few people were sort of abiding by the EU regulations.
These challenges pose a threat to the competitiveness of Kenya's horticulture exports to European Union, which accounts for 80% of the market for Kenyan produce. In 2013, beans and peas export from Kenya were subjected to 10% inspection at all ports of entry into the EU, principally because of these two reasons: inability of Kenya to demonstrate existence of an effective national traceability system for horticulture produce, and continuous detection of pesticide residue in beans and peas beyond the recommended levels.
In the first few months, when we hit 2012, there's quite a number of interceptions and because of MRL exceedances. And that took the industry into complete spin.
The subjection of 10% inspection of beans and peas lead to 60% decline in exports.
Well, of course, we were affected in terms of volumes. We could not ship as many volumes as we used to do the year before.
50,000 smallholders lost their jobs and incomes as a result of dropping from production of beans and peas for export, and the local industry lost 3.4 billion shillings annually in terms of cost for testing pesticides residue in beans and peas exports.
From that time, we dropped quite a number of our small-scale growers. I think we were operating schemes of up to 3,000 smallholders. We went down to about 1,000. And we further went down to even less than 500.
Walituelezea soko ndio mbaya, hakuna soko. Mandawa ilikuwa imevitumiwa mbaya na quality ya produce ndio ikakuwa si mzuri.
There is a very high implication when you get the recalls. When you have the border interceptions. Because once you talk of 10% sampling, it means you're going to pay for that.
We were spending weekly about 700,000 shillings worth of cost to our business for the tests.
Evidently, there is no better time to come up with a national horticulture traceability system than this.
We came in together as industry and started discussing, and the regulators, we joined hands instead of fighting. We sat down with the regulators and we came up with mapped systems. We've been having regular meetings and we formed up joint committees like the HCS, Horticulture Competent Authority Structure, which is also an initiative from, by then, the PS Cicely Kariuki.
It's at this point as well where we also had partners coming to start seeing how they could assist industry in building a robust system that would be able to be foolproof.
In 2014, the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fishery, through Horticulture Crop Directorate HCD of Agriculture and Food Authority AFA, in collaboration with horticulture stakeholders such as KEFIS, FPIC, KFC, Carlo, PCPB, export companies and the United States Agency for International Development USAID, through its Kenya Agricultural Value Chain Enterprise Project, commenced the process of developing a cloud-based National Horticulture Traceability System, HTS.
Anytime we got feedback on non-compliance, you find that maybe it was caused by a certain company, and then when we went to the company, they could not tell where the product had come from. And so we realized for us to be able to address these challenges, the companies should be able to tell where the products come from, and even us, we should be able to tell where the company is or who is causing this problem, because we found that the exporters had varying capacity to comply with market requirements. And so we needed to address the problems in a specific manner.
It's at this point as well where we also had partners coming to start seeing how they could assist industry in building a robust system that would be able to be foolproof.
We started a program that was supposed to cap our market interceptions by developing a national traceability mechanism, which has been piloted since we launched 2 years ago.
This project is going to be beneficial to us in that we'll be able to trace the use of a product that a farmer has used right from the production all along the chain up to the export of the produce in the importing country.
And I believe this is where USAID through CAVE's program came in on trying to come up with a solution with the industry on creating a traceability system, so that now all exporters would know where the sourcing of their source of product is.
This cloud-based system is unique to Kenya and will make it possible for any shipment that does not comply with market standards on arrival in the export market to be traced back to the source and remedial action taken immediately.
Initially, where we had the challenge, because once we used to collect all the produce from the farms or from the groups. So once it goes to Nairobi, to the depots where we have the pack house, they mix all the produce when it goes to the customers. So once a problem comes, maybe there is a traceability problem or there's any other problem, it was very hard for us to identify exactly from which farmer.
So when there is a rejection, you might find you are being sent back a produce which is not even yours. You have not even grown it in your farm. So you are being told it's yours and you have not yet grown it.
Customers and retailers we supply to actually want more and more guarantee, want more and more visibility over how safe the produce we supply them is, starting all the way from sourcing through to the middlemen, through into importers, all the way through the supermarket shelf.
Traceability is about being able to respond quickly in the event of there being any problems whatsoever with Kenyan produce in the market. So what we wanted literally was a system that whereby if a box of Kenyan produce was for any reason found to be not meeting market requirements when it arrived in Europe, it would be possible through this national traceability system to track it all the way back to the grower. This is particularly challenging in Kenya because we have thousands, literally, of small-scale growers who supply the top supermarkets in Europe. So it's absolutely critical that we can actually get back to each one of those in the event of a problem.
The system has three main components: a mobile app for registering farmers and capturing routine farm operations and agronomic practices, a web reporting portal for sharing information among stakeholders, and a barcode and a quick reference code printing module. The HTS is customized for Kenya's smallholder-based export industry and can accommodate up to 1 million farmers.
The system is now ready, and now we are doing training pilot exporters on the mobile application.
I was going carrying a bunch of papers. Paperwork was very long, and this one makes me feel it is more simple and makes my work easy.
The web portal is actually used to administer the system and even for reporting purposes. Yeah, we have the reports that are for the administrator, and at the same time the reports that will be managed by the specific exporter. Each and every other exporter will have their own specific account, and they will be viewing their own records that are posted from the farm level.
What used to happen is that when a problem arises, then you have to traverse quite a large area trying to see how best you can identify the problem. But with the current system, then it will be very much easier to be able to locate where the problem is and to be able to rectify the problem.
I'm able to take the photos of the farm. I can take a photo of the farm. I can take the GPRS or geo of the location. And this one helps me more on compliance issues.
The Horticulture Traceability System has the capacity to identify the exact source of a shipment through its GPS coordinates and generate online production and handling reports required by the market. Other than produce traceability, the Horticulture Traceability System will complement ongoing implementation of sampling and testing of produce for pesticide residue under the National Pesticide Monitoring and Sampling Plan that is jointly being undertaken by the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries through the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Services, KEFIS, in collaboration with horticulture export companies and the United States Agency for International Development, USAID.
We issue the phytosanitary certificates. We need to know who is complying before we issue the phytosanitary certificates. And we have a system that we use for issuing phytosanitary certificates. So ultimately, when we have succeeded in this traceability project of setting up the system, we hope that our system will be linked in. And so our staff have been working together with the SCD staff to ensure that the necessary data and the fields that are required for our reference are incorporated into the system.
The Horticulture Traceability System lays a solid foundation for establishment of a national compliance mechanism for increased access to markets for Kenya produce. Deployment of the HTS will increase market confidence and safeguard more than 2.5 million smallholder farmers and workers involved in export horticulture.
A quick response brings trust and also guides you on getting the root cause of the matter, setting up your corrective action and preventative action to ensure that the issue does not recur.
So we've decided to start embarking on engaging smallholder schemes to grow for KHE, and we are leveraging that on our traceability system, which is currently giving us an opportunity to have visibility of what's happening on the ground, and it's also giving us an opportunity to guarantee safety of the products that we are delivering into the market.
Yeah, so our traceability system is based on a very thorough review of what we need as a company in terms of critical control points. What are those? So we've answered those questions over the years, and we've said these are the points we're going to map.
The system will increase the competitiveness of Kenya horticulture exports through enhanced transparency in the supply chain. It will facilitate rapid response to food safety risks by providing the capacity to identify, isolate and rectify non-compliant producers and expedite responses to pest and disease early warning alerts by locating affected areas.
To manage our traceability system, we have each and every crate coded, and that number also is placed on the tables for in case someone comes to the pack house and wants to know the particular order is being packed from which bins or which vegetable. We normally place them on the tables for visibility. Then on top of that, it is recorded on the books, that is on the quality assurance books. Then from that, the same number goes to the boxes. They're normally stamped. Or maybe if it's a mix of products, we give a unique code based on the week and the day and the box number.
So this code will help us to single out the farmer in case of anything, be it chemical, physical, or microbial contamination. In case of chemical exceedance in the MRL, we can trace back and find that Samuel Mwangi is responsible, and this will lead us not to punish all the farmers but single out Samuel Mwangi and deal with him.
The National Horticulture Traceability System will also place Kenya at the leading edge of countries supplying the EU market with horticultural crops.
Our objective from the beginning was to develop a national traceability system which could be very responsive and perhaps even more important, could prevent problems occurring in advance. We could use the system not just for responding to events, but also for documenting information, collecting information that enable us to predict possible problems in the future and take preemptive action.
The Horticulture Traceability System developed over the last 18 months through a pilot phase involving 12 export companies and over 1,400 smallholders growing beans and peas in 10 counties, was launched on September 8, 2016.
And I'm extremely honored to join you this morning for the official launch of the Horticulture Traceability System and to recognize the important work we've done in collaboration with other donor partners, private sector and research partners.
I'm happy to be associated with this traceability system, and I hope out of the 10 areas where you have pilot tested, we need to upscale it and roll it out to all the areas where horticulture is produced in this country.
It will place Kenya at the leading edge of countries supplying the EU market with horticultural crops.
This traceability initiative has already had a positive impact on Kenya's horticultural industry by helping to remove the mandatory inspection of Kenyan beans entering the European Union. This traceability is expected to build confidence in Kenyan produce and open up new markets across Europe, Middle East, and beyond.
And so with a system now of tracing where these products come from, to me, I think it's a breakthrough. And I think it is going to bring out a lot of confidence to the products which we are going to sell outside this country. I associate with this system, and I hope this system is going to be a major solution to most of our export and local issues as far as horticulture is concerned.
And so eventually, by putting in this system, we'll save that money, but also we will be communicating to the world that the fresh products that we send out, fruits and vegetables, are of high quality and safe for consumption.
We are sending signals to the international community that as a country we are coming together, and the regulatory bodies of the government are taking control of the industry. And therefore, this national traceability system coming into place for us is a huge, huge plus.
And traceability is vital for UK retailers and customers who need to have the confidence in where their product is coming from and how it has been grown. So we're delighted that the Kenyan growers, exporters and importers with the Kenyan authorities have brought together this national scheme. We in the UK are very much supportive of our Kenyan partners, and we want to work together and support the industry to grow even more.
We have a huge amount of imports from Kenya of peas and beans, and unfortunately
a few years ago we did have some issues in terms of exceedances of pesticide residues coming through on the product. We've been very, very pleased to see the launch of the traceability scheme, which will enable the Kenyan authorities to start to deal with the issues where they find them at source. Prior to coming out to this meeting, I actually had a look at the data for Kenyan peas and beans, and for the last 3 months we've actually had no non-compliance, so the product that's been coming through has been very good, and I think part and parcel of that is to do with this traceability scheme and the introduction of it.
Think horticulture exports, make it Kenya.